What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update for you guys. We're going to look at the last 24 hours of Tottenham news, and we're going to start off talking about Archie Gray. As Gimme Sports says that Archie Gray is rejecting advances to leave Tottenham on loan in January, as Gray is adamant remaining at Spurs will improve his chances of making a breakthrough under Ange Postecoglou in the second half of the season. The Times are reporting that Archie Gray could soon be handed the chance to play in his natural position at Tottenham in order to help mitigate the absence of the soon-to-be banned midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur. I think it is something that we touched on yesterday when talking about the Bentancur ban. And yeah, it's something I'm quite excited about, to be honest, because we've only seen him at right back, left, literally anywhere apart from his natural position in CDM. I do question, though, if he's up to it in terms of physically.
Look, Premier League's a different kettle of fish to playing in that position when he was in the Championship. Same of fullback as well, and I think that's why it's taken an adjustment period. But I think, for an 18-year-old, I think he's done quite well when he's been on the pitch. I've been quite impressed with him. He's clearly very composed on the ball. The reality is he's only going to improve with time in that position. Yes, he needs to be thrown in the deep end and he needs to learn from those experiences, but I'm not expecting him to come into that position as a player of that age and just start balling out and be like the best player I've ever seen in that position. It's not going to happen. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to have learning experiences. He's going to come up against players who are very physical, very good at dribbling, all these different things he's going to have to deal with. And he's going to come up against different caliber of players he's ever come up against. That's the truth. So as much as I think he needs that time in that position to learn it, I'm also not expecting him to be at the level of someone like a Bentancur when he does play there. As much as I think that I'm excited to see him in that position, I think people need to adjust their expectations, because I hear a lot of people saying we just need to see Archie in that position. He hasn't played at all in his regular position, which is true, but I think there's a reason for that, and I think people expecting him to just come in that position and be the answer there. I think are not taking these things into account.
Yeah, I think they were talking to Ange about it after in a post-match press conference or a post-match interview, and he said, "Oh, you just wait until you see Archie in his natural position." So I'm expecting big things now.
Did he? I can't remember that.
Yeah, he did say that, and I feel like as well, look, I agree. That was just a joke, by the way. I do agree with you.
Oh, he didn't say that.
No, he did say that. But I'm saying it's a joke that I'm expecting big things straight away. I do agree with you. It's going to take a bit of a bedding in period, and when you're looking at the games that he
needs to go through it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But when you're looking at the games that he's going to miss, I mean, realistically, how many of the games are we actually going to see him start in that position? I don't think many, because there are big games against top teams from now until Boxing Day, which Bentancur is going to be out for. So I don't know. Do you see him in there in the cup against Manchester United? I can't really see that.
No.
I mean, which kind of games can you see him starting? Maybe you see him come on in that position, but not starting.
Yeah, some
Maybe
tough games, and obviously Bentancur is going to be playing the Europa League games. So obviously, if you look at how Ange has used Bentancur and Basuma this season, he has rotated them a lot. But as you say, the period where Bentancur is out, you've got Liverpool, United, Chelsea, City, all in that run. I can't see him playing Gray.
As well,
and then the other games which aren't against top six are Fulham, Bournemouth, and Southampton. And they're all, apart from Southampton, they're all teams that are in good form at the moment. So is he going to throw Gray in those games? I think it might be more, if Basuma's tired and stuff like that, we put him in. But I still reckon Basuma starts the vast majority of those games.
Yeah, I think he'll start all of them. Maybe Southampton is the only question mark there. But heavy workload for Yves Basuma coming up over the next month. Let's talk about Son Heung-min. Fabrizio Romano says that Spurs have finally started the process to add Sonny at Spurs. That is the plan of the club. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy, obviously, to see Sonny get that contract triggered. I would just like to see him get an actual contract, which I'm starting to question if it's coming.
I think it's very much up in the air at the moment. I think that's pretty clear at the moment, because he is 32. Do Tottenham want to give him a significant pay rise? And I think that's probably the sticking point at the moment. I think the numbers he's putting up so far this season, the performances, the numbers he picked up last season suggest he's still got a lot to offer, and he's not declining as much as people are suggesting he's declining, because he's still scoring goals regularly, he's still getting assists regularly, he's still right now our top goal contributor in the league, level with Maddison with 6. So he's still providing for the team. And if you look at some of his performances over the season, I think especially since he's come back from the injury, he looks a lot sharper. And even before that, he was still getting regular goals and assists. Obviously, he's not as good as he was, maybe when he got the golden boot a few years ago and things like that, but he's still our best attacker. I think that's clear. So from my point of view, as long as that's the case, I want him around and I want him to stay here. But Tottenham, I think, from their point of view, they're going to be biding their time to see what this season brings. I think from their point of view, it's probably a smart decision to just give me your extension, not get locked into 3 years, because what if we're sitting here at the end of the season or even next season and there is signs of decline, and then all of a sudden you're locked in for another 3 years and you're giving him a pay rise. From my point of view, I think the service he's given us and the fact that he's club captain, I think the value of having him around would justify that pay rise anyway. And I still think he would probably in 3 years' time, maybe not be, I'm not sure if he's been putting up the numbers he's been putting up, last season, potentially will this season, but maybe in 3 years' time, you manage him and he still provides for the team when called upon, but obviously he's not going to be playing every single game. That, I kind of liken it to when, Ryan Giggs, in his last few years at Man United when he was getting older. He only started probably, 10 to 15 games of season. They really managed him. But when he did start, he was effective and he was good. But they knew at that age, he can't play every game. That's kind of how I envisage a role for Son when he's maybe in his mid-30s kind of thing. I think right now he can still play a lot more than that. But I think from Tottenham's point of view, right now he's on, 200 grand a week. They probably... I think it's wrong, but they're biding their time. I think that's what they're doing. They're just giving you your extension, keep him on the same wages, and see how he does over the next 18 months. And if there are signs of decline, then they're not going to give a new contract. That's what I think the reality is.
From Sonny's perspective, though, do you not think that he might feel a bit disrespected in that manner where he's given so much to Tottenham, he's still showing quality, 3 goals, 3 assists this season, club captain? Is that not a bit disrespectful, only to trigger that extension and not try and offer a contract? And how's he thinking in this situation? Because maybe as well there's another facet to say he's been here for 10 years. Does he want a new challenge? Does he want to go to a different league and try himself? I mean, I'm not too sure. I mean, if I'm Tottenham, I'm offering him that contract because, like you said, he can definitely make an impact for years to come, in my opinion, whether that be off the bench, whether that be from a starting role, whether that be managing minutes. I think the guy's got so much quality and a great mentality as well. You just want to keep these kind of characters around as well. So, yeah, we need to start thinking about his successor and his replacement, of course. But in my opinion, I think we should be keeping him around.
Yeah, look, in terms of does he feel disrespected, I think as long as he's our highest paid player, I don't know if he'll feel disrespected, but maybe he feels like since, I don't know how long it's been since he signed his last contract, but since, was it 2021? So 3 years ago. He's now the captain of the club. He's the face of the club. He knows how much the club use him for marketing purposes and all these kind of things. They, a lot of the time they base pre-season trips around him. He is still our best player, and he's now got that increased responsibility within the club. Since, obviously, in 2021 that was also the case, but I think since then, now he's become captain of the club. He's taken on even more responsibility. So should his wage reflect that? Should his, should how much he be being paid reflect that increased responsibility he's got? And I think he could probably argue yes. But at the end of the day, he is still our highest paid player.
Yeah, he is our highest paid player, 100%. But if you are looking to the future and to give him a kind of what he deserves for the service to the club, to still what he's producing for the club, I think he deserves more than what he's on. Wow, to sit here to say he deserves more than what he's on is actually crazy because he's on 190 grand a week. I mean, it is crazy money. But I do think that Spurs should, honour what he's done to the club and offer him a new contract.
I agree. And look, if I was playing devil's advocate and I was, again, thinking what a Tottenham board member would say, they would say, he's our highest paid player. And does he deserve to be more than our highest paid player? Does he deserve to be on more wage? And the problem you get is when, look, he's on 190, right? I think, who's the next one? I think it's Maddison on 170, I think, is the next one in line. So I think if you saw, I remember there was a very clear, I remember when Man United signed Sanchez, why that was the biggest worst transfer for them is not just because how bad he was, but because they put him on like 400 grand a week, which was like nearly double or whatever who the nearest person was. And all of a sudden you had De Gea, you had Rashford, you had all these different players coming to the board saying, you just gave Sanchez a 400 grand a week. I've been with this club for 10 years, but all these different things. Like, how can you justify giving this guy who's not even performing double our wage? And then all of a sudden they had to write big contracts for all these different people, and then they found themselves in a hole. Tottenham don't want that situation.
But that won't happen with Sonny. Sonny is the one that's been here for 10 years. He is the club captain. He is who all the players look up to. So if anyone deserves it, it's going to be him.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying if you put Sonny on,
doesn't come away with Sonny. If Sonny getting the pay rise, that situation
not necessarily. I don't know.
That situation does come if you do that with a Maddison or if you do that with a new player. New player, fine, but Sonny has been here for 10 years. All the players look up to him as a captain figure, and they all look up to him in terms of what he's done in the game as well. I don't think that situation props up if Sonny gets that contract.
I think it's all relative, and at the end of the day, Tottenham have a wage structure. Right now, the top of that wage structure seems to be 200 grand a week. We don't really want to, at the moment anyway, we don't want to be paying 200 grand a week to players, more than that anyway. And if you see who we pay the wages to and how our wage structure works, you can clearly see there's like a senior group, who are on, between 200 and 150. And then it kind of all trickles down. Then the younger players, you've got talented players maybe on just under 100 grand a week, then the younger players on 50 grand a week. There's a structure there. All of a sudden, you put Son on, close to 300 grand or whatever it would be to increase his wage. All of a sudden, I do think you have a Maddison saying, well, now the structure entails that I should be getting 250 instead of 170. And I think it all trickles down. I do think that, because that's what agents look at. Agents look at who's on what, and this is what you should be demanding based on what they think they can get for their client. And when the highest paid player is Son on 190, I don't think agents a lot of the time will then come and say, I should be on more than someone like Son because of what he brings to the club. But as soon as Son increases it, I think agents will start looking at that.
Yeah, but you say that. I mean, when you're talking about a figurehead and literally the poster boy of the football club, none of these other players are the poster boy of the football club. Harry Kane was on more money than what Son is on now, and no one really complained that Kane was on money. Everyone realised that they can't match Kane. Kane is the poster boy of the club. He's the leading top goal scorer. He's all these things. And nobody complained. Nobody wanted parity with Harry Kane because they knew what Harry Kane was and knew what Harry Kane is. And I feel it is similar with Sonny now.
I think you're probably right. I'm just saying I think Tottenham are wary of that. That's all I'm saying.
Pedro Porro has been speaking on the rumours about Real Madrid, and he says, I'm focused on my job. I'm 25 years old. At 26, I don't know where I'll be. Football is like that, but I'm settled in England and I have a contract till 2028. My name and others are mentioned. My friends send me the rumours. It's a compliment, but I'm focused on my club and the national team. It's the result of a job well done in one of the best club. If one of the best clubs in the world is taking notice of me.
I mean, he's not batting away these suggestions, is he? So we know that it's a club he'll probably want to join in the future if ever given the opportunity. But at the end of the day, he's got to keep up his standards to earn that kind of move. And obviously, it's not a surprise to me that Real Madrid are looking at him at the moment. We know that it's going to cost a lot of money. So I think while the Trent rumours are out there right now, I don't think it's anything to worry about. But if anything breaks down there, I guess we'll have to revisit this. But I think, of course, when you're someone like Porro, who's a Spanish international, and a club like Real Madrid are after you, who are the biggest club in Spain, of course he's going to want that move. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I do want to see better performances from Porro because I do think his performance levels have dropped a little bit from last season. Nowhere near getting the levels of goal. I think he only got his first assist of the season last week from the corner. So I want to see that improve. I think defensively as well has taken a bit of a backward step. So I have no doubt in Porro's ability. I just expected a bit more from him. I expected progression this season. I don't think we've seen that just yet. Dimarzio speaking about Radu Dragusin, and he says that both Juventus and Napoli are interested in Radu, but Tottenham's stance on a potential loan is the major obstacle. Dragusin can be a solution for both Napoli and Juventus, even if Tottenham do not want to send him out on loan. So they could potentially make a bid in this January transfer window. But seeing as we just signed him pretty much a year ago, I just can't see us letting him go.
I think it's unlikely unless we're really convinced that actually we made a mistake. Or
we get a really big offer, which I highly doubt.
Yeah, that loan deal doesn't make any sense. unless we're thinking about signing someone else in January, I think the most likely situation is we're going to have to deal with what we have. And look, as much as I'm very frustrated and worried about Dragusin's last couple games, which they haven't been good at all, let's be honest, Galatasaray and Ipswich, he's been terrible. But on the flip side, against City and against Villa, he was also very good. So people very quickly forget those performances because he's had 2 bad games. Yeah. But on the face of things, I think it's clear for everyone that right now, is he the right fit for how we want to play? I think there are definitely big question marks about that, and the jury's definitely out about that answer, to be honest. So as long as those questions are still there, you're always going to be having question marks about him potentially leaving, but I don't think it happens in January.
Yeah, I think on a whole, actually, he has been pretty poor this season. You look back to the Coventry game, gets sent off in the first 7 minutes of the sorry?
Yeah, Karabag, yeah.
Yeah, against Karabag, the last 2 games as well, Galatasaray and against Ipswich. But yeah, those 2 games against Man City and Villa, he was pretty good in those 2 games. So it's been very hot and cold from him this season. So I agree with you. I don't think he's completely suited and matched up to the system, but I do think he's a very good defender and I say a good footballer, but he's nervy on the ball. But
he's also 22, so
yeah.
He's also young.
Yeah, that's also true. So if I want to say where I think his future lies, I would like to keep him for now. But his future definitely remains a doubt if these performances carry on, that's for sure.
But if there is a chance to get someone who's more suited and we find an opportunity, but it means letting him go, I would be open to that. But it means we have to make sure we replace him with a good defender, though.
Yeah. In a weird way, like in terms of style of play, Davinson Sanchez probably actually does suit us a bit more than
just because he's a bit more pacey.
Yeah,
potentially. I think they're both just as bad on the ball.
Well, you say that, but Davinson was picking all around the Galatasaray. Did you see his little pirouette?
The ironic thing is Sanchez was just improving before we sold him. That's the ironic thing.
Let's finish off talking about Min-hyeok. We brought you the news a couple of days ago that he is going to be arriving at Tottenham early, and that's all been confirmed now. First of all, from South Korean journalist Chosen saying Tottenham have requested Min-hyeok start training with the team earlier than expected in mid-December. Previously, the expectation is that he would have joined the club in January. Spurs expressed during the negotiations in the summer that the player would immediately become a member of the first team upon arrival, and the request of his early arrival is just seen as a further sign that the player could well get his chance sooner rather than later. Alistair Gold says it's true. Min-hyeok is expected to arrive at Tottenham earlier next month. However, Yang will be carefully introduced to life at Tottenham and in the Premier League as he arrives in a new club, league, country and culture, rather than necessarily being thrown immediately into Postecoglou's matchday squads. There's a chance, of course, that the teenager could adapt quickly, but it is expected that he'll take some time to adjust to the physical demands of the English game and the speed of it, and Tottenham will be wary of an injury risk after a very long season in Korea with only a 2-week break after joining up with Tottenham.
I mean, you only have to look at, first of all, Brennan Johnson. When he first came in here, he got an injury. Wilson Odebears had 2 injuries as he's first come in here. Richarlison, obviously, he can't stop getting injured. Solanke got an injury in his first game. Son, recently, actually, was Son pretty injury-free last season, but this season, he's been picking up injuries. Pretty much all our 4 players. Who hasn't been injured?
Yeah.
Apart from Werner. Timo. Yeah, actually, he's currently got a slight knock, but yeah. I think that's something very important to be wary of. I think, the reason to bring him in early, I don't think it's necessarily so he's ready to go come Jan the 1st to play. I think it's more just to have a real good look at him, get him to acclimatise a bit quicker. I don't expect him to be getting too much game time up until maybe February kind of time, but maybe he can surprise a few people in training. I think take a good look at him, let him acclimatise, don't put pressure on him. But I think it's a smart move to bring him in early because the earlier he gets in, the quicker he can acclimatise and get used to it.
Yeah, I've seen some people on Twitter suggest that with him coming in early and him potentially being ready for January, that says to them that Timo Werner's loan is going to get cut short and he's going to go back to Germany. But I see that being completely wide off the mark. I mean, you've got Timo Werner, who, we have our problems with him. Majority of people have their problems with him, but he's a senior player in the squad, right? Mm-hmm. With his age, and he has been making, in terms of impacts in games, he can get to the byline, he can beat his man. He's been playing okay in some games. It's just the end product which we have the problem with. I think, they're 2 players at completely different ends of the spectrum, and I think that if you're going to let Timo go, you need to bring in someone kind of ready-made, ready to go, that you're very much sure that can make an impact straight away.
Agreed. The reality is as well, Min-hyeok can't be in the Europe squad, can he? Without someone leaving.
Yeah, I guess, unless we swapping him for Fraser or something.
Yeah, I don't know if we will.
Yeah.
Because we need,
and if we want that, I want to see Jed Spence come in.
Yeah, exactly. You can't even fit Spence in. So, look, if we had the option to let go of Werner and bring someone else in, I'll do it. But I don't think we're going to do it for Min-hyeok.
Yeah. I see, like, the way... I would like to see, like, if we get, like, a really good tie in the FA Cup third round or something, give them a go in that game. Like, if we play, like, a League One or a League Two or even a Championship side, give them a go in that game.
Wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. But anyway, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.